okay? Or we need to escort you?
You're okay.
No, it's cool. I got one. I brought one.
But you're okay with me?
Yeah.
You have an extra?
I'm okay. I have brought my cushion. Yeah, thank you though.
Just sit and relax a bit. Things are just a little bit different than usual with changing backgrounds because of the time of day. But I seem to be fading in the afternoons. So I thought, well, mornings when I have some energy, let's share it. This is a pop-up, means it's not a long planned teaching. I do them sometimes. Chuku kunduzongwa gomboyi Dorji sempa garab dorji dang Shere singe bardu shin labde Dedama zantata tu sumchi Zogchen jupe lama la solo deb Ergen pema junila solo deb Dorji chang chitilo narudang Marpa mila gompo tatapa Na pupadang palden drupa suk Kagyu lama namla solo dib Ochen lama namla solo dib Druchen lama namla solo dib Kaginwari lama namla solo dib Shakya lama namla solo dib Nyendu dang yundrun lama namla solo dib Pakwandu zhongdang yerme pa Gun garab dorji shintrag pa Jeti dang nisume pai Palamanam chetinter chong Thank you. Except that's not what I wanted. Okay, hang on. Go back. Go there. There we go. Come on. Come on. Sorry, my equipment's being recalcitrant. Because I'm probably just poking it oddly. It giggles instead of doing what I want. So, last time we talked, I talked to you about a autobiography of Guru Rinpoche that he had written about how he got the teachings from Shri Singha, who was his teacher. Now, Shri Singha is born either in China or up in Kulu or over possibly around Kailash, depending on which scholar you listen to. No one's quite sure. There was a legendary land which was a matriarchy, and also rather mineral rich, and also originally had Kashmiri wool. It's called Singha. So wherever that was, that's said to be his birthplace. Yeah, I read through a lot of the why they think that and why they think this, and I'm guessing probably the area then included Spiti and Ladakh, all the way to Kailash. So it was a big country then. Matriarchy, mineral rich, but not highly populated, and known for Kashmiri cloth, the wool from the sheep. So herding and minerals. He was born there, but he was, it appears, educated in Jiangzhou, which is where the bond lines come from, which is north of Kailash, probably now within the borders of China, but at that time was its own rather vibrant and full land, back about 1000 AD. Yeah, because he lived in the, before then, back in the first 10 centuries AD, because he lived in the 800s. When you try to place this in lineage, you start with how it pulses in and out of the Sambhogakaya. It itself is the Svabhavakaya, the it I'm going to call it. This is Svabhavakaya, Dharmata. This is the all that is and all that isn't. But the communication of it, the knowing of it, the functionality of it, don't give me that, whatever it is. It depends on whether you think you've got allergies or a cold. I really don't need a cold right now. So, I just lost my train of thought. Give me a second. Too many fucking drugs.
The pulse.
Yeah, so it pulses again and again, repeating in the echoement of the minds of all life. This awareness of the essence of reality. So whenever you have the lineage starting, it's always how it manifests from the Sambhogakaya, because the Dharmakaya can't do anything. It's just there. It doesn't manifest, it doesn't pulse, it's the stillness. The Nirmanakaya does everything. It's the moving, it's the dance, it's the function, but the Sambhogakaya is what makes that possible. It's the vitality of the Dharmakaya that allows the movement, the functionality, the life force of the stillness that permits the movement. So it comes out now in this Dzogchen lineage, specifically Nyingma. It comes from Vajrasattva, primordial purity, gender non-specific. And it comes out into Garab Dorji. And there's many, many stories of how that happened. And they're already in a whole lot of teachings, so I'm not going to try to tell you again today. Go look it up. Really good ones in some of Rinpoche's teachings of how Garab Dorji got it and how it came forth from him. This is all scholarly debate on where Singha is. Come on. Come down to the rest. So he gets visions. He's been studying in Zhangjun. That's his idea. That's where the best stuff is. But he keeps getting these visions of different Sambhogakaya manifestations that come and tell him he's got to go to this other place, which is the cremation ground slightly west of Bodh Gaya. Anybody ever been there? It's a wild place. It's an amazing place. I know few people who've done retreats there under crazy but effective teachers, and they have had some very interesting experiences. So it's definitely a place worth going. So there he meets Manjusha Mitra. That's his teacher. Manjusha Mitra is hanging out there after finalizing his teachings. He served his teacher for a long time. Shri Singha comes there and serves Manjusha Mitra for 25 years. Just runs Shapja. At the end, when Manjusha Mitra has finally got him to the point that it'll go in, the teaching he gives is this: without making the least effort, just be. That in itself is the optimal method for the yogi who has grasped the view of absolute totality. That's the full teaching. But you see, that won't go in properly most times. It bounces around. It goes out your ear. So most of teaching is getting someone into a shape that they can actually hear that. Does that make sense to you? Which takes, 8, 10, 25 years. You never know. So, as you know, Shri Singha went to Bodh Gaya and a number of other places. And there he taught Guru Rinpoche. Now, the teaching I want to show you for this day is the teaching. You heard how it was by Guru Rinpoche's experience within the story, within the time, given in piece by piece, shivvying him into the condition where that could happen. This is why it's really important you need a teacher. You won't do that on your own. You can't. It's like trying to stick your elbow in your ear. It won't work. You need a teacher. If the karmic teacher-studentness is there, it doesn't matter who. They don't have to be the best teacher in the world. They have to be the one that can show you. They don't have to be famous or understandable or speak your language. There's no external criteria of how that ought to be. Would you like to borrow a hat, dear?
Yeah.
would you give him a hat? You know it's on the door. So giving you the context there. Come back here, you. Good. Where's the good one? I think it's that. There we go. This is the pith instruction that was left by Shri Singha. Now, he went rainbow, full on. Guru Rinpoche wasn't around at that time. He'd received his teaching and was now doing his teaching. He had other students as well who were around at the time of his going rainbow. I think Bimala Mitra was one of them. The wisdom of awareness. To hold it fast to the immutable ground. I struck the chasm of samsara and nirvana with 7 great nails, so that immutable great bliss arose in my mind. Immutable ground, all that is not, dharmata. That which is the dancing stillness, which both moves and has never moved. This is what we're talking about. But your consciousness, your awareness, which at the moment you think is your personality, is like a flopping fish, splitting here and there. You don't really steer it. You basically try to keep it from freaking out, and get through the day, such as it is. So this is because it's only moving. It has to, in different methods, some methods like Mahamudra, first you teach it to be still. And Dzogchen, a lot of people, it's not going to be still, so fuck that. So what you end up doing is again and again noticing the immutable ground, or what he's calling here, Dharmata Svabhavakaya, becoming obsessed with it, so that as you flop about, you land on it a lot. This creates the karma, because remember, you're changed by your perceptions. So this changes you to more and more reflect what you are obsessed with. The pith instruction is like a beam of sunlight, a secret principle for reviving the unconscious, which unlocks the treasury of clear insight, and is like a wish-granting jewel. Realize its meaning. It's called awakening, to wake up, because mostly you're sort of sleepwalking. Just trying to get through another day with the best possible way you can, without being all freaked out. A lot of us really do spend our time doing that. And that's the human condition. When you find a cave that no one has ever entered, and you open it, you remove the rocks from in front, and the light of the sun shines in. It doesn't matter how long it's been dark in there. In one instance, when the light shines in, it's fully illuminated. There's no gradualness there. So the first nail, strike the nail of unimpeded luminous wisdom. Light symbolizes vitality and light force. So by luminous, we mean the vital awareness, which is by itself naturally awake, regardless of what you fucking think you're doing with it. That. At the juncture of samsara and nirvana. Now here's a key. We separate them in certain practices. Rushen. Korde Rushen. Samsara and nirvana separating. So we work on getting them separate. But they aren't. It's in Mahamudra, for those of you doing Mahamudra, where you start trying to clarify to yourself what moves and what doesn't, and you don't go on to Trultra Naljor, the yoga of dancing stillness, until that has become 100% clear. Or you end up like a lot of the most unfortunate Dzogchen practitioners who keep trying to stabilize their trekcha, which moves. Well, if it moves, it's moving. You're not going to make it hold still. And people spend years trying to stabilize the idea of trekcha, the feeling of open awareness, the perception of Dharmakaya. Won't work. They're moving. If it moved once, it's always going to move again. So this is about bringing them back together. This is all the Trultra Naljor. Questions on the first nail? There are 7. Strike the nail of the lamp of spontaneous visionary appearance between mind and sensory objects. Look around. Stuff, right? Bushes, flowers, trees, cave, rock, paintings. Stuff. You think it's out there. It's an object that your sense organs are perceiving. Y'all remember the definition of a perception? A clump of thoughts, feelings, and sensations is called a perception. And when you stack up a bunch of them, they're called an experience. So we separate perceiver from perceive-ed. This is a problem. Pin them together. With spontaneous visionary appearance. What is that? That's everything you see, everything you think, everything you feel. It has nothing to do with anything. It's a spontaneous arising vision. You just think there's real shit out there. And it is a useful conceit to pretend that there is real shit out there. Because otherwise it might run you over. Or do you some other form of mischief. But be aware that for all intents and purposes, you're making it up. That is not to say there is nothing out there as a rock. That's not a negation, nor is it an affirmation. You got to slide between there. That's the nail of the visionary presence. that slides between perceiver and perceived and pins them together as a singularity, which in Mahamudra is called one taste. Rochik. Questions on that one?
How do you do that?
You're separating them is an activity. It is something you do. The more you relax, the less you do. The less you do, other innate, instinctive, unnoticed doings are also able to relax. Does this answer your question in a way that makes sense to you?
Just in everyday experience, it feels like it's fully automated. You are doing it automatically. So
Yes?
you don't feel the effort that
You don't feel the effort, but the effort is there. So work on feeling that effort and relaxing that muscle. Can you wiggle your ears? So some people have learned to wiggle their ears. Some people have not yet. They found that muscle. It's not a frequently used muscle. There's a muscle here that you need to find so you can relax it. Makes sense? So you might find it by tensing and relaxing. Tensing and relaxing. So that's one of the exercises you can do as a Rushen, is take it all very real. Oh, it's all real. It's all out there. I'm separated. And then drop it suddenly. See if it'll fall.
you're sort of doing it in sadhana.
Yep. Yep. Tantra does it for you. Clench, release, clench, release. That's the beauty of Tantra and how it actually works on the nervous system. Working with symbols so that your conscious resistance just can't find anything to catch on to because you don't know what they mean. Allows that pulsing that allows you to find the muscle and relax it. So continue your sadhanas. Probably the most effective way for you at this time. Other questions on that one? Did you have one coming in from out there? Okay.
Is Sambhogakaya the awareness which is aware of itself? Is awareness Sambhogakaya?
Any absolute statement limits things to say is or isn't. Since in Dharmata, all is and isn't aren't. Nonetheless, when you realize that what you said is an oversimplification, you may say yes, kinda, sorta. Pass the mic back.
I have a question about the pulsing, especially with the practice of gum, glimpses again and again. Really, my experience is that it's arising and I relax, arising and I relax.
Gum is still a doing.
And actually, the arising remind me to relax. But in that, there is still a sense of kind of separation.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Because
you
opposite-
arise it, but it's not you. You arise it in front of you. Yes?
Yeah, I don't know. I want to learn more about
It
that.
is not so that you arise it in front of you, but it feels as if. For most people, when they do gom, they feel as if they, something, an entity, a somebody, a personality, is doing a thing which is not themselves, which might be named Gom. So in some way it's separate. They've got it separate from themselves. It will not mature until it loses that separation. Takes time and takes at this point, for you, continue doing sadhana, whichever one you're currently into, and pulsing the Gom, but relax more around the Gom. Don't It's not that you're overdoing it. Rather that you've got a little bit more intentionality stuck in there than it needs. Plus beaucoup les intentions. Il besoin pas cette beaucoup l'intention. Ça va, c'est plus relaxation, encore le... Avec les humeurs. Humeur. Humour. C'est ça ce que fait bien.
Yeah.
So add more humor in. When you can get a giggle in it, it smooths it out. Does this help?
Yes.
You're not going to get as trapped in intellect as, say, you are. That's a cultural thing between French and pundit, scholar. The British and the Indian cultures both tend to go scholarly. Not the French, not the Italians. So you'll fall into different things. And yet there is not more or less traps for each one. They're just slightly different. More humor. And there's a practice. It's one of the Rushens. It's a dance, a sort of a dance, but with everyday objects and everyday movement. I've seen you do it occasionally. That will help as a Rushen. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's in my everyday life. Not always.
No.
Sometimes I can tense a lot,
Yeah.
but release a lot also. So I'm in between.
Yeah, so encourage yourself to do that. Yes.
I just
Why, is it doing something?
Well, the sun is right on the back of your head.
Oh, it's not bothering it. Although, actually, I have a hat in there. It's hanging on a hook. No, thanks.
So I am seeing right now that the chud drum,
Yep. Yeah, that's my good Indian hat. There.
the chud drum supplies a pulsing, and while doing chud, the practitioner is both the eater and the eaten.
Correct. Chud does this very nicely as a sadhana.
Yeah. but it seems like the beings that the nectar is being distributed to, or blood and guts, or whatever it is, are they outside?
Hell no.
I don't see how they fit in.
They're you.
They're the eaters.
They're you.
They're all me.
Yeah. You're feeding your own demons. That's what it's all about.
Okay. Yeah. I am Buddha. I am sentient beings. I am the universe. And
You are the demons.
Duh. Okay. Thank you.
One question from Spanish speaker. So the question is, does awareness necessarily need a body to be aware of itself?
Not all bodies are aware of themselves. And when you say body, you're probably thinking of something similar to human or animal. There's a lot other kinds of bodies out there. In the formless realm, there are not bodies. There is also not awareness. In the realms of form, there are bodies, but not a whole lot of awareness. Well, yeah, the awareness is there. It's just not aware of anything much. Your question is actually not making sense because you don't know quite what a body is. And I know that this person's been trying to ask this for a while. And consider what a body is for longer. What is a demon's body? What is a god's body? What is a flame being in the Vajranarak's body? What is a body? Before you try to ask a solid question like that. Also, what is consciousness? The next nail. What am we on? 4? Let's see. 4, 3. No, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're right. 3. Strike the nail of the naturally pure essence between mind and matter. What is mind? What is your mind? Go back. Go back to your first inner mind, Rushen. I'm not going to teach that at length again today. Go find it online. I'm lazy. But go find out if you're going to ask this, if you're going to nail this together, you better know what we're talking about. What is mind? What's it made of? Where is it? How does it arise? Where does it arise from? Where does it go when it's done being there? Is it different? Is it moving? Is it still? What is mind? And what is matter? Go Google some quantum physics. Take the matter apart. What's it made of? All the way down. Little bits of movement with nothing moving, I believe is where they got with quantum physics. So, when you look deeply, and you have to do this yourself, at what is mind and what is matter, you will see how naturally pure essence, kata, primordial purity, is the nail that holds these together. What is kata? Examine it. Look for yourself. Without ignorant projections, what's there? What's underneath it all? Anything? Nothing? This is not a question that I am to answer for you. These are bits that you meditate on and answer for yourself. The text is easily available. There's some really weird translations out there. I like the one out of Lotsawa House. I think it's actually sensible and uses words.
Which text are we talking about?
The 7 Nails. And you just take one. Think about it. Feel about it. Perceive it. And then let go. And then do it again until it comes together for you. And then take the next one. It's a text I can teach you and tell you about. I can point you at, but I can't do for you. Strike the nail of open freedom from views. Can you hear freedom from points of view? Whenever Lama Yeshe, whenever anyone would ask him his point of view on something, he'd always fall over laughing. Lama's point of view. Oh, point of view, point of view. Don't point your view. Between permanence and emptiness, nility. When you don't have an either or, remember I keep yelling at you guys about your either ors? To like put those fuckers down, they're getting in your way, you're tripping over them. Is it like this or is it like that? No. Is this like this? Well, yeah, maybe, kind of, sort of. It's this trying to get something into a point of view. This is futile. Give it up. Don't point your view at it. Relax and open your view. In between being and not being, is and isn't, there's a whole universe. Go find it. Strike the nail of non-phenomenal awareness. Non-phenomenal awareness. This is open awareness that's not pointed at phenomena, at a thingy. Usually your awareness is pointed at a thingy. My awareness is pointed at a text. I'm trying to tell you about it. Your awareness is pointed at me and what I'm trying to tell you about the text. So, go to non-phenomenal awareness for a minute. Don't point it. Let it splush open. Relax. The nail that holds it is non-phenomenal awareness, open awareness. What it holds together is dharmas and dharmata. Dharmas, rules, understandings, explanations. Dharmata, wakantanka. All that is not. That's a Lakota word. So with unpointed, non-phenomenal, non-pointed stuff, wide open awareness. Allow all the rules of how it works to come together, including the rules of karma and everything else, to come together and be one with, stapled, held one with the actual essence of isness. The fourth time. The rules of how it moves is only linear time, within time. Bring time and timelessness together. By not point focusing. Do you see that? Strike the nail of the 5 unconfined gates to the senses. You know how your senses work. You have a sensation and a sense organ. Immediately you interpret it. As you interpret it, you decide whether it's real or not. So there's actually quite a lot going on around here that you are unable to see or perceive because it doesn't fit within your described reality worldview. That's why it's so hard to see the dragons in the summertime for the Westerners, and Tibetans see them every day. It's a normal thing. Of course there's dragons up in there. So the gates of the senses, without the interpretation, unconfined. That means not confined by is's and isn'ts, by real and unreal. Allowed to play and perceive whatever they play and perceive. This will tack together dullness and agitation. When you're practicing, especially when you're starting on Shri, a lot of times it gets just like Om zone out. Feels really good. At other times you can't get it to hold still and stop jittering at you. Gerbils. in between these two extremes, where there is the ability to perceive, to feel, even to think, without a stuckness to what is perceived, felt, and thought, where that is not clenched or grasped. It's allowed to flow completely freely. That's what brings those two together. So you're not pushing it one way or the other. In the beginning, when you meditate, you're doing Shri. Yes, you're trained to. If it gets too dull, you have a cup of coffee. If it gets too jittery, you have a cup of chamomile tea, or, take a rest, go for a walk. There's all these many, many methods to try to get to that midline, which is likened to the tuning of a lute. After a while, you don't really have to think about it, because the over-tight jitter and the over-loose I need a nap, they're the same thing. Just dancing stillness. Each one of these is pointing from another angle of a star at the same center. The coming together of duality. The original oops. Remember that from Flight of the Garuda, original oops. It's an important teaching. This is and that's. One separated. One mistook one's sensory perceptions for something outside of oneself. When you're a little baby and you're nursing, and your mom's wedding ring in the sun flickers rainbows about, and you try to pick them up to eat them because you're a little baby, and you can't, and then you get really pissed off and start yelling and hitting because you can't get the rainbow you want. Because you think they're out there. You don't see how they're the way your eye and the light and everything else has come together. And so you create karma and it proliferates. That's often the first karma, is trying to catch a rainbow. Strike the nail of the primordially perfect Dharmakaya between appearance and emptiness. Is and isn't again. And the nail is Dharmakaya, the stillness, that which doesn't move, the fourth time, beyond time and space, that which contains everything. Vajra. Chuku. What is seen but is not there. What is not seen but is there. These are all pointing at symptoms of duality. When duality is the original oops. It's what we are. It's like when you've got your medical gloves on and a piece of sticky tape. Surely that's happened to some of you. Iti. Applying one's own experiential perspective. unobstructed and spontaneously liberated insight to what is regarded as the other is like fire touching straw, kindling, goes right up. Mastery of thought and impressions, based on the knowledge that appearances are directly liberated, is like light entering a darkened room. Direct realization of the fundamental intent of primordial pure awareness is like the coming together of an affectionate couple. The transcendence of concerns as to what is or is not, through the natural dawn of the boundless wisdom that is one's own true countenance, is like the meeting of your face and a mirror. Relax your grip on duality. A good method is GOM. GOM is non-dual. Quick glances. What you're glancing at is non-dual. You're not you glancing at a thing out there. Oh, it feels like it, but you know damn well it's not true. So, frequently notice non-duality. The boundless wisdom that is one's own true countenance is like the meeting of a face and a mirror. When thoughts are free from view and meditation, then they arise as the manifold display. This is like frost being touched by the sun. Confusion evaporates. This is not something to do by effort. This is something to relax into. Recognizing the subjective mind as perfect equality through the primordial seal of realizing appearances and existence just as they are, rather than as you want them to be or fear they might be. You rewrite everything all the time. Let go. Is as clear and as recognizable as encountering one's own child. The intrinsic liberation of the environment and its inhabitants. Since even without effort there has never been any separation from the Dharmakaya. It's like a pauper encountering a store of riches. Suddenly all problems are solved. Do you understand this? It's a very short, very pithy text. But it's the rest of the context of what I gave you last month. And I figured since everybody's taking off for different places soon, it would be best to give something last for you to go home and chew on. Gewandi Nyur Dudag Chi Chi Sala Gopashu. We are complete for today. I cannot imagine any questions that I could answer that would actually make sense right now. Can you? Didn't think so. They all start getting into ethers and ors, and, well, that's not going to go anywhere. Once you know that duality is not real, even if you only know that intellectually at first, still occasionally notice it through each one of these 7 nails. Don't necessarily obsess with this, but they glance at non-duality. It's a fun text to read from time to time and think about, feel about, perceive, and then let go. When you think about it, you're making constructions. Be aware that what you think about it is not it. When you feel about it, you're making constructions about your hopes and fears. While you do that, be aware that those aren't real. Those are just your hopes and fears. You're making them up and they're going to change anyway. They're moving. When you perceive the words of the text in this or another translation, if you happen to prefer another translation, there's more. Malcolm did some. It's very scholarly, and I don't know all the words in English, which is why I don't like it. But he speaks English better than I do. Perceive the words of it, and then let go. Look past the words, past the expression, past the feeling, past the perception, past the ideas. Occasionally look where it's pointing. Just that. And we are complete for today. And if anybody wants kata, this big bag in the Misha can fish 'em